Have you ever heard of Aleksandr Schoolboy Beziazykov? If not, you're missing out on one of the most dominant arm wrestlers in the world today. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into Schoolboy's impressive career, from his unbeaten streak in the gym to his unique training regimen and technique. You won't want to miss it. Who is Schoolboy? So, let's talk a bit more about this Schoolboy character, shall we? Aleksandr Schoolboy Beziazykov is a Russian arm wrestler who's been making waves in the arm wrestling community for years. He's known for his incredible strength technique and dedication to the sport. Now, when I say incredible strength, I really mean it. This guy is an absolute powerhouse. He's got arms the size of tree trunks and can lift weights that would make most people crumble. But it's not just his muscles that make him a formidable opponent. It's also his technique. See, Schoolboy has a unique style of arm wrestling that sets him apart from other competitors. He uses his entire body to generate power and leverage, not just his arm. He's also incredibly quick and precise in his movements, which makes it difficult for his opponents to keep up. But what really impresses me about Schoolboy is his dedication to the sport. He's been competing in arm wrestling tournaments since he was a teenager and has won multiple titles and awards over the years. But he's never satisfied. He's always pushing himself to be better, to train harder, to become the best arm wrestler he can be. And it's paid off, too. Schoolboy has won multiple world championships and European championships and has set numerous records in his weight class. But even with all his accomplishments, he remains humble and focused on his goal, Schoolboy's dominance in the gym. Now, let's talk about Schoolboy's dominance in the arm wrestling gym. I mean, this guy is seriously unbeatable. According to many of his fellow arm wrestlers, no one in the gym can beat him. And they've tried. Trust me, I've seen the videos, and it's pretty impressive. So, what makes Schoolboy so dominant? Well, as we mentioned earlier, his strength and technique are certainly part of it, but it's also his mental game. Schoolboy is incredibly focused and disciplined when it comes to arm wrestling. He knows his opponent's weaknesses and is able to exploit them, while at the same time anticipating their next move and countering it effectively. But it's not just his mental game that sets him apart, it's also his work ethic. Schoolboy trains like a madman, spending hours every day working on his technique, strength, and endurance. And he's not afraid to push himself to his limits and beyond. He's constantly experimenting with new techniques and exercises, always striving to improve. Now, you might be thinking, well, sure, he's dominant in the gym, but what about in real competitions? And you'd be right to ask that question. But the truth is, Schoolboy's dominance in the gym translates to his performance in competitions as well. He's won multiple championships and has set records that are still standing today. In short, Schoolboy is a force to be reckoned with, both in the gym and on the international arm wrestling circuit. His strength, technique, mental game, and work ethic all contribute to his unbeatable status. And as long as he keeps up his dedication and discipline, I have no doubt that he'll continue to dominate for years to come. Schoolboy's training regimen. We've talked about Schoolboy's dominance in the gym and his mental game, but what about his training regimen? I mean, this guy clearly doesn't get his incredible strength and technique from just sitting around on the couch all day, right? Right. Schoolboy's training regimen is intense, to say the least. He spends hours every day working on his arm wrestling technique, strength, and endurance. But it's not just the amount of time he puts in that's impressive. It's also the way he trains. For starters, Schoolboy is always experimenting with new techniques and exercises. He's constantly looking for ways to improve his technique and gain an edge over his opponent. And he's not afraid to try unconventional methods either. For example, he's been known to train with one arm tied behind his back to improve his weaker arm. In terms of strength training, Schoolboy focuses on exercises that target the muscles used in arm wrestling, namely the biceps, forearms, and back. He does a lot of heavy lifting, using both free weights and machines. But he also incorporates bodyweight exercises and resistance bands into his routine to keep his muscles guessing and prevent plateauing. Endurance training is also a crucial part of Schoolboy's regimen. Arm wrestling matches can last several minutes, So he needs to have the stamina to outlast his opponents. To build endurance, he does a lot of high-rep sets and circuit training, focusing on both cardio and strength. And let's not forget about his diet. Schoolboy is very careful about what he eats, making sure to get enough protein, carbs, and healthy fats to fuel his intense training session. He also takes supplements to help him recover and stay healthy. Schoolboy's technique. We've mentioned it briefly before, but it's such an important part of his success that it deserves a segment of its own. So, what makes his technique so special? Well, for starters, Schoolboy has a unique style that's hard to replicate. He's known for his top roll, which involves using his fingers and wrist to rotate his opponent's hand back, creating an opening for him to push down and win the match. It's a highly effective technique, and one that very few arm wrestlers have been able to counter. But it's not just the top roll that makes Schoolboy's technique so impressive. It's also his ability to adapt to his opponent's style and adjust his own technique accordingly. He's able to read his opponent's movements and anticipate their next move, then counter with a technique that will give him the advantage. Another key part of Schoolboy's technique is his grip strength. He's able to apply a tremendous amount of pressure with his grip, which allows him to control his opponent's hand and wrist. And once he has control, he's able to use his top roll technique to take the match. But here's the thing. Schoolboy's technique isn't just about strength and power. It's also about finesse and precision. He's able to make subtle adjustments to his hand and wrist position that give him the edge over his opponent. And he's able to do all of this while maintaining his focus and mental composure. Schoolboy's accomplishments. But what about his accomplishments? What has he achieved in the sport of arm wrestling? Well, where do we even begin? Schoolboy's list of accomplishments is nothing short of astounding. He's won multiple national and international championships and has set numerous records in the sport of arm wrestling. In 2017, Schoolboy won the European Arm Wrestling Championship in the 110 kg weight class, beating out some of the best arm wrestlers in the world. And he didn't just win, he dominated, winning every match and not even dropping a single round in the entire tournament. The following year, he went on to win the Zloty Tour World Cup, one of the most prestigious arm wrestling tournaments in the world. And he didn't just win that one either. He won it convincingly, beating out some of the best arm wrestlers from around the globe. But perhaps Schoolboy's most impressive accomplishment to date has been his unbeaten streak in the arm wrestling gym. As we've mentioned before, no one in his gym has been able to beat him in a match, and considering the caliber of arm wrestlers in that gym, that's no small feat. In conclusion, we've learned a lot about Aleksandr Schoolboy Beziazykov and his impressive career in the sport of arm wrestling. From his dominance in the gym to his unique training regimen and technique, it's clear that Schoolboy is a true master of the sport. His accomplishments speak for themselves, and his unbeaten streak in the arm wrestling gym is a testament to his skill and dedication. It's no wonder that he's considered one of the best arm wrestlers in the world today. We hope you've enjoyed learning about Schoolboy and his remarkable career, and we look forward to seeing what he achieves in the future.